me this morning. And today, it's kind of fun. In doing these, and for anyone joining us the first time, we've been doing these for quite a while now. It's just a little morning devotional with a few thoughts, a little takeaway, some way we maybe can apply some of this stuff to our life. One of the advantages of it is we go through the Bible really slowly. We pick different books and we go through it sort of line by line, talking about what it might mean, sort of the ancient spirit of Jewish midrash, or from a Christian New Church perspective, looking at the poetic sense of these words. And today was an interesting one because as I was looking at this, I was looking at it a couple of days ago, realizing, wow, I never saw that line before. So today we're looking at as a line I never saw before, after having read the Bible many, many times because it's part of my profession. And yeah, it just is. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So let me go ahead and give you that line. So the context of that line: Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden. They get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They have two kids. Their kids' name are Cain and Abel. We talk about that in our minds being this tension between what grows and what's born, our intellect and our love, and that can boil down to that desire to be right versus to be loving. We looked at that yesterday. That idea to be right, to be loving. And there becomes this tension between the two brothers, which pictures that tension that can arise sometimes in our lives when the question arises, like, should I be right or should I be loving? And yesterday we looked at the idea that wisdom is what helps us figure that out. And wisdom is always about a combination of knowledge, a combination of love, and a combination of humility. All three of those things coming together. And it's interesting, it's a little line, but boy, I think it's packed full of a lot of sort of almost heartbreaking knowledge, in terms of the human condition, in terms of what a lot of us struggle with, or what I imagine a lot of us struggle with. And here's the line. This is from Genesis 3:61. So this is God talking to Cain, the older brother, the intellectual side, the side that's concerned about being right, not so worried about being loving. And this is what God tells him: and Abel, your brother, longs for you, but you rule him. Oh, that's powerful stuff. Just a short little line, but Abel longs for you. It's fascinating, folks, the way that love has this longing embedded in it, this longing to connect. And it's interesting to watch with human nature how deeply embedded that love really is. Now, here would be an example. I mean, how many of us have had in an intimate relationship a really, really challenging season? Probably all of us have. And it may be a day or a couple of days or a couple of weeks even. And you just know this is not sustainable, but you can't get off being right. Can't get off being right. Totally enamored with being right. So silent treatment shows up. I'm not giving in. They're going to have to say something first. They're going to have to apologize first. And as soon as one of you just breaks the ice a little bit, all of a sudden, all the apologies come. Oftentimes, tears come. Oftentimes, reconciliation comes. Now, not all the time, obviously. And some of the time, we may wish for that and it never occurs. But it does happen a fair amount. I certainly have witnessed that in my relationships. I imagine many of you have witnessed that in yours. Well, why is that? Why is there that rushing feeling, like someone pokes through the ice a little bit and then there's this huge rush of like love and emotion? Because we just can't, I don't know, like, lack of a better word, we can't stand being in that place. Like, I mean, how fun is it to be in a house where two people are giving each other the silent treatment? Not a whole lot of fun. And probably a lot of us have been there, at least in part. And so what do we do, right? Like what's the implications of this? That love is always longing, is always has this longing. Well, a couple of thoughts come to mind. Obviously, there's Martin Luther King's famous statement that we do not desire victory, we desire reconciliation. I think that's part of it, right? Always look for reconciliation, not victory. Reconciliation is the win. And the other couple of parts, two other parts, is this first one: just simply let it begin with me. Like, you may be on the receiving end of something where they're 90% at fault, you are 10% at fault. Well, own the 10%, do the best you can to do it. And then, not that any of this is easy. I'm speaking theoretically here, not from someone who's well practiced in this, that's for sure. But we own the 10%. and we invite the other person in. And one way to do that, and it's a question I love, it's a question I'm sure I will preach on in these little 10 minutes of calm many times over the years, because it's such a vital question, which is the question, what am I not seeing? And not asking it with a tone, not asking it so that you can refute whatever their answer is, but just asking it from the perspective of, as Stephen Covey would say, seek first to understand, then later to be understood. And I always add in 24 hours later. I think that's the good rule of thumb. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Seek first to understand, then 24 hours later to be understood probably works best with relationships. Folks, that question, like, what am I not seeing? I think is maybe when we're in a challenging relationship, that's maybe one way of how we can take a first step. It's not saying we're wrong. It's not saying what they did was right. It's reminding ourselves that they did whatever they did because they saw the world a certain way. And it may not have been a great way to see the world, frankly, but they saw the world a certain way. So their actions to them may well, not all the time, I would be really careful about that, may well to them have a certain logic to them, that they're just acting on their best understanding. And sometimes it's not even out of their best understanding. Sometimes it's just out of plain impulsive behavior. And even when we ask that question, is there something I'm not seeing? You may get that answer like, hey, I don't know what happened. I lost my head. I wasn't thinking. I was angry. I was angry at this over here, and then this happened over here, and I realized now that I was confusing the two. However, that might work for you, because it's important to remember God's words here. You know these God's words to Cain, to that part of our brain that wants to be right, is to just understanding that loving part of us, just longs for reconnection. That loving part is just, it just is there. People long for it. They long for connection. They long for meaning. I know very few people who don't long for those things. Now they may be so asleep to it that it just looks like nothing's happening. But for most people there is. And so for today, folks, like, just think about that simple question. If you're in a relationship that's strained and you're thinking, okay, so I'm in a challenging relationship, how do I take the first step? Just consider it. Just think, maybe there's a place to work it in, maybe not, I don't know. But it sure seems important to remember that love always seeks connection. And that's where you want your intention to come from. You want your intention to come from that part that wants to do what's loving. You don't want your attention coming from that part that wants to be right. That's not good. I can safely say that. You may need to be right. You may indeed be right, but still come from the intention of what is it to be loving. So, folks, that's my thought for today. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little meditation. We're going to do a little prayer. We're going to do a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to folks on social media. So, with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, a little shout out there to all our dear friends out there online, and a little bit of good news. It was fun. Is at New Church Live here we filled up our small group coming up on searching for Sunday, so that was really fun. Actually, it's our largest enrolled group we've ever had, which I think speaks really well to what people are thinking about and considering today, which is wonderful. All right, friends, let's say hello to everybody here. Kim, good morning to you, and I hope you're doing well this morning. Linda, always good to see you joining us live as well. Susan, good morning. Very relevant topic this morning, and I know and it is an interesting one because it is so relevant, man, and I have to remind myself to ask that question every couple of years. And I remember the first time I used it, we had a teenage daughter who was it was Irish. She didn't want to spend a lot of time with her dad. And I asked my wife, honey, what am I not seeing? And I just really wanted to know. And my wife had a lot of great ideas, and some were hard to hear, but it was really good. And so it's just a great question. Like, what am I not seeing? Patricia, great to see you joining us this morning as well. Marcus, no problem, buddy. Always great to have you joining us. Sherry, enjoy your Tuesday. Yes, the longest day of the year today, my friends. Jean, good morning to you, and I hope you're doing well down there in Maryland. Right, Kim. I am a work in progress, trying to see from that perspective. That is so important, and Kim, I just want to say it to you because all of us need to hear this constantly. God's big thing, progress, not perfection. I mean, I had a great talk with my buddy Ray yesterday about perfection is just the booby prize. We think that what we want is perfection. Well, you ain't going to get it. What you're going to get is you're going to get progress, growth, and meaning, which means a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And as one person said yesterday, there'll be days where it's 1 step forward, 3 steps back, and that's life as well. And we just keep doing our thing, and God's with us the whole time. So, friends, always a joy to meet with you. What a blessing all of you are, and just wishing you an incredible, beautiful, gracious filled day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.